finally. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and happy Tuesday. It is Tuesday, October 3rd, which means it is Shadow Crown's release day. Right now, you can go buy the paperback, hardcover, or Kindle ebook of Shadow Crown on Amazon. You can also buy it on Barnes & Noble, The Book Depository, and Books A Million. So I will leave all the links in the description box below. And if you would like to order an autographed copy, you can do that on my website at KristenMartinBooks.com. Just click on the Buy Books tab on the menu bar. I feel like I have been waiting for forever and a day for this book to finally be released, and now that it's here, I could not be more excited. I shared in an Instagram post, which I will insert right here, that this book is very special to me. I wrote it when I was in a little bit of a darker place, and so there is a very raw piece of my soul in the writing in this book. So I really hope that you guys enjoy it. I had a really great time writing it, even though it was very challenging for me at times. It was still one of my favorite books to write. So I just cannot wait for all of you to finally be able to read it. I feel like I've just been talking about Shadow Crown for months and months and months now, and the fact that it's actually here and you guys will be able to hold it in your hands or be able to read it on your e-reader is just the coolest feeling. It's very surreal, and this is my 4th book being released, and I will tell you that it doesn't matter how many books you release. Each time a new one comes out, it's this feeling of just such joy and pride and accomplishment. So yeah, I don't really know what else to say, but I hope that you guys do pick up a copy, and it would mean so much to me if you would leave a review and a rating on Amazon, as well as on Goodreads and any other sites that are out there. That really helps me out as an author and helps get the word out about my books and about Shadow Crown. So for today's video, I went back and forth a number of times between a couple of topics, and I realized that I really didn't want to do any of those topics for this video because it didn't really fit the whole vibe of me being so excited and Shadow Crown's release. So I'm gonna do something a little bit different. And I actually wrote this just last night, but it's 10 things I would tell my young writer self. So when I first started doing this 2 years ago, which is so crazy to say that it's already been 2 years and that it's only been 2 years. It's just, that's absolutely insane to say. But I wrote down 10 things that I would tell my younger writer self, and so I wanted to share those with you guys in case you were just starting out on your journey, or even if you're somewhere in the middle or in between writing and getting ready to publish, or maybe you're marketing your book. I do think maybe there are some takeaways that you will get from these things that I would tell myself. This looks very professional, doesn't it? So let's go ahead and get started with the 10 things that I would tell my younger writer self. The first is that time will fly by except for the last 2 weeks leading up to your book's release. This has held true for every single book that I've released. For some reason, all of the months leading up to it will just fly by so fast. You're like, oh, I have 6 months to get this book ready, and then, oh, I have 4 months to get this book ready, and then, okay, now we're getting down to the wire, we're at the 2-month mark. But for some reason, the last 2 weeks leading up to the book's release just seem to take forever. And I don't know if it's because there's just been so much anticipation and buildup for the book to come out and you're just so ready for it to be out there and for people to read. I'm not really sure what it is, but I always have to remind myself that the 2 weeks leading up to my book's release are always just going to feel so long and so drawn out. And it probably doesn't help that this book's release was in October because October is my favorite month. Oh yeah, happy October, by the way. I should have opened with that. This is my favorite month, so I'm always kind of wanting September to hurry up a little bit so that October can be here. Because while October is really, in my opinion, the beginning of fall, it also signifies a time of change. You know, the leaves are changing, they're essentially dying and falling to the ground, and then things are, you know, you're kind of going through a transition period. And so I definitely feel that way in my life. That was a tangent. Don't really know where I was going with that one. But yes, the 2 weeks before your book's release, they will just feel long and drawn out. So you just gotta ride the wave and revel in those moments before your book's release, which is what I tried to do the past 2 weeks. And I feel like I did a pretty good job of that, but I am just so excited that you guys can finally read Shadow Crown. The second thing I would tell myself is that some people will love your books, others will hate them. What they think is none of my business. So this might be hard for some people to wrap their heads around. I get asked quite often if I read my reviews. And to be honest, in the beginning, I did read my reviews, and this was a terrible, terrible idea. And it's because books themselves are subjective, and the reviews and opinions of other people who read the books are also subjective. So you're entitled to your opinion, I'm entitled to my opinion, and that's totally fine. Those two opinions do not have to agree. They do not have to mesh. And so if someone absolutely hates my book, that's honestly none of my business, because I love my books. I know how much sweat, blood, tears, and effort I poured into each and every single one of those books. They have a very special meaning to me that no one else will really truly understand, because they're not me and they did not write them. And so if you're a writer, if you can just remember that your books aren't going to be for everyone, you're just going to be so much better off. And I would also recommend not reading your reviews, because there are going to be some people that say it's the best book they've ever read, and some people are going to say it's the worst book they've ever read. So as long as you're happy with your work and you're confident in your writing abilities and you're happy with the way that your story turned out, that's all that really matters. The third thing I would tell myself is to write for yourself, not for society. And this kind of ties into what I just spoke to. But you have to make sure when you're writing your story that you're not writing for society and you're not writing for the market or for whatever is trending. When you write something, you need to write it for you. You need to write it because you are connected to it, because you feel the need to write about it, whatever your story may be, whether it's fiction or nonfiction. You need to feel that pull and that purpose to write it. And if the only reason you're writing something is because it's trending, your writing will reflect that, and people are going to see right through it. So you may as well just write for yourself and not for society. The fourth thing I would tell myself is that your voice will become more distinctive the more you write. Don't force it, let it flow naturally. So in my first series, The Alpha Drive, I noticed that my voice was very rigid. It was very structured, and I was trying to follow all the rules of grammar and punctuation and pacing and blah. I was just trying to follow all the rules as my debut novel. And so I go back and read that, and I can't hear my voice as a writer because it was still developing. It was my first book. It was my debut novel. Then with The Order of Omega, I feel like I could hear my voice a little bit more. And then with Restitution, which is the third book in the Alpha Drive trilogy, and the final book, I could hear my voice come out even more. But with this book, Shadow Crown, like I said, because I wrote it when I was in a darker place, there's a lot of raw emotion, and I was very vulnerable when I was writing it. So I feel like my true voice is reflected in Shadow Crown. And this is not to say that this is the end-all be-all of my voice in future books, because I know as I continue to write, my voice is going to develop and it's going to progress throughout each and every single book. But it is a very neat feeling to go back and reread your old work and then read your newer work and see how much has changed or how much your own voice and your writing style has developed. It is a very neat feeling, so don't try to force it. Don't try to force your voice. Let it flow naturally. Let it come out naturally. The fifth thing I would tell myself is that even after writing the end, the book, for some reason, will not feel like a book until you get the cover art. Savor both of those moments. So I've noticed that every time I write the end on my manuscript, in my head, I know that the book is finished. It's done. I have completed writing my manuscript, but for some reason it just doesn't feel real until you actually see what the book cover is going to look like. And I don't know if this is just for me or if it's for other writers out there, if you have experienced the same thing, but for some reason when I get that book cover, it just becomes real. And especially when you get it in actual book format, it really, really becomes real. But I feel like when you finally get to see the cover of your book and it encompasses everything that your story is all about, you realize that this is reality, that you wrote a book and your book has a cover. It's so important to savor both moments, writing the end and getting your book cover, because both are such huge accomplishments. So you just really need to take time to revel in both of those moments. The sixth thing that I would tell myself is that formatting will get easier with each book, but it will always be a pain. Take new and updated notes each time you do it. I cannot tell you how many times the print-on-demand platforms have changed little things here and there. Looking at you, Ingram Spark, where I will look at my notes from a year ago from the last book's release, and it doesn't quite match up with this new book's release. And so I always have to remind myself to take new notes, even though those notes are probably going to be outdated. But yes, the formatting, at least for me, has gotten easier with each book. I have to just remember that it's always going to be a little bit of a pain, but it is well worth it once you complete it. The seventh thing I would tell myself is that some days you'll want to write and other days you won't. Don't despair, you're human. Take each day as it comes. If there's one thing that really irks me, it's when people say you're not a writer if you don't write every day. In my opinion, this is absolutely not true. There are going to be some days where you just don't have the time to write, or something comes up, you have an emergency, or you just really don't feel like it. And that's okay, because we're all human, and I honestly would rather be in a good headspace and sit down to write than write when I'm cranky or tired or in a bad mood, because honestly, whatever I write is probably going to be crap anyways, and I'm probably going to end up scrapping it. I know a lot of people may disagree with this and say, oh, well, you should write anyways. You can always edit it later. Not if I'm going to scrap a whole 1,500 words. That to me is just a waste of time, where I could be doing something like self-care, which is probably what I need to be doing when I'm in a bad mood or I'm cranky. And self-care would include things like taking a bubble bath, going to get a manicure, reading a really motivational, inspiring book, or watching a movie that I love and haven't seen in a really long time. So if you don't feel like writing every day, that's totally okay. Just take each day as it comes. The eighth thing I would tell myself is to celebrate the small accomplishments. It's the culmination of those small accomplishments that make up the large ones. This is so incredibly important, because I feel like a lot of the time we're always looking so far ahead at the end goal. It's like, well, when I write this book, I'm going to be happy, or when I publish this book, I'm going to be a success. No, you have to celebrate the small accomplishments along the way. Otherwise, you're going to drive yourself insane. So if you write 800 words one night, awesome job. Go treat yourself to a glass of wine. Go play video games. Go for a walk, or go play with your kids or your dogs or whatever. Just do something that you enjoy and celebrate that accomplishment, no matter how small it is, because it's what you do every single day. And all of those small accomplishments are going to lead up to that one large accomplishment of finally finishing writing your book, publishing it, hitting the bestsellers list, whatever that large end goal may be. So just make sure you take the time to celebrate those small accomplishments, because they are just as important as the large ones. The ninth thing I would tell myself is to never stop reading. Reading is fuel for the creative soul. And for a while, I really did struggle with this, because I got busy. Work got busy, life got busy, things were happening, the weather was acting crazy, I was displaced from my home, there was so much going on. And I just didn't read as much as I used to. And I feel like we can all make excuses as to why we're not reading as much. But the truth is that reading is fuel for the creative soul. I've noticed that when I am more consistently reading, my writing is better. And I honestly think it's because when you're reading other people's words, you're absorbing that information and the way those words are structured and the way things are flowing. And so when you sit down to write, you have this whole culmination of words and phrases in your head. And so you're able to kind of dump that out and make it into your own for your own work and your own book. And that isn't possible if you don't take the time to read. Okay, and the 10th and final thing I would tell myself is that everything you ever dreamed of is possible. I know, we're gonna end this one on a super cheesy note, but if you were to tell me 2 years ago that today I would be sitting here with 4 books published, and that first trilogy, my debut trilogy, would be on the international Amazon bestsellers list, that I would have this amazing community on YouTube of writers and readers alike, I would just laugh in your face. I would not have believed it. And yet here I am, and there you are. At times, this writing journey is going to seem like an uphill battle. There are going to be challenges and hurdles and obstacles thrown at you from every direction. And sometimes you're gonna feel like you're not good enough, or you're not going to be able to overcome it, or that your efforts in achieving your dreams are futile. Do not believe those fear-based thoughts, because they are not true. Everything you have ever dreamed of is possible. You just have to put the work in, and you have to have faith that it's going to happen for you in the right time. If you can learn to enjoy the journey and not get so attached to the outcome, you'll be absolutely amazed at what opportunities open up for you. And you'll be so grateful when you finally do reach your dreams and realize that you did it. So if you're a new writer out there, just believe in yourself and know that you got this. Okay, that is all that I have for you guys today. Those are the 10 things I would tell my younger writer self. If you like the content of this video, please give it a thumbs up to support my channel. And I would also love for you to subscribe so you don't miss any of my future videos. All 3 of my books in the international Amazon best-selling series, The Alpha Drive, as well as my newest book, Shadow Crown, are available for purchase on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, as well as the Book Depository and Books A Million. You can also order signed copies of all of my books. For more information on how to get your hands on autographed copies, go to my website at KristenMartinBooks.com and click on the Buy Books tab on the menu bar. If you are a fan of audiobooks, make sure to check out my affiliate link with Audible in the description box below. You can get a free audiobook download and a free 30-day trial for their service, so make sure you go check them out if you haven't already. In case you didn't know, I do offer some writerly services such as first chapter critiques, as well as 30-minute and 60-minute Skype consultations. And if you are a teacher, educator, or librarian and you're looking for an author to come speak at your school or host a workshop, I want to let you know that I am now offering school visits. For more information on how you can book me, please go to my website at KristenMartinBooks.com and click on the Services Offered tab, as well as the School Visits tab. There is a freebie over on my website at ThatSmartHustle.com called 5 action steps that you can take right now to start showing up for your dreams. And if you like the content in my guide, then you will absolutely love the Hustle Smarter, Not Harder webinar series, which is still available to sign up, and it is at the discounted rate. To learn more, read testimonials, or sign up, make sure to go to my other website at ThatSmartHustle.com and click on the Webinars tab on the menu bar. In addition, I have started podcasting. You can find my podcast under That Smart Hustle on SoundCloud as well as iTunes. And if you're not already following me on Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat, make sure you do that for daily writing inspiration and advice, as well as to stay up to date on any price promotions, announcements, or giveaways that might be going on. If you have any questions or think of a topic for one of my future videos, please leave it in the comments below. I would like to thank you all again so much for watching. I would love for you to hit that subscribe button on your way out. Don't forget, I post new writing advice videos on Mondays and personal day in the life vlogs every other Thursday. I will see you guys next time. Bye. Don't forget to buy my book.